Hello everybody, Patrick Ostis here. Hope you're all doing well. So I want to do a quick report on what's been going on today with North Korea. So today North Korea says it is finalizing plans to fire 4 intermediate-range ballistic missiles over Japan and hit Guam. Supposedly this military operation will be ready by August 15th, and it'll be up to the dear leader or great general or whatever the hell Kim Jong-un calls himself in that fairy tale land that he's made for himself, gives the order. So they also said that they cannot have a dialogue with Trump and only force will work. Well, they better pray that that's not the only option left to them, because the secret is, and I hope they're smart enough to know this, although I question that because I think Kim Jong-un's starting to believe his own BS, quite frankly, but they can start a war. They can. They just can't survive one. So hopefully that little fact will sink into his empty head here pretty soon. SecDef, or Secretary of Defense Mattis, said today that any military action North Korea could take would lead to the end of its regime. He added that North Korea must stand down its nuclear weapons program. Those are some of the harshest words that has come out of Secretary of Defense Mattis. Last night, B-1 bombers from Guam flew to the DMZ in a show of force operation. This was done in conjunction with Japanese Defense Forces and the South Korean Air Force. So, and you know, there's been a lot of other things going on today as far as the media. Certain media outlets have been attacking Trump for using nasty language, apparently, you know, because of the fire and fury thing. Well, you know, we tried the Hug a Thug program with North Korea for decades, and it's brought us to this point. So I'm perfectly fine to try something else. Maybe it's about time somebody spoke to them in a language that they actually understood. Now, I know I'm not supposed to say anything negative about this person because he's been diagnosed with cancer, but I'm sorry. John McCain has cancer. I really am, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But I'm still going to call him out when he says stupid things, which he says frequently. And today he tried his usual, oh, well, I don't think Trump's ready for this and all that. I mean, he's such a Judas. I mean, just such a POS. This guy loves war. He loves it. He is just a whore for the defense industry. He's always out to get us into war. So it's so obvious that the only reason he's saying this, like, oh, hold on, I don't know if Trump's ready for this, is because destroying Trump as a politician means more to him than war. And we all know how much he loves war. So that's a pretty scary thought. Another interesting thing to point out is the fact that North Korea keeps threatening to nuke Guam. Now, why they would say that is obvious, because it's American territory. But they have low-hanging fruit right there. There's 30,000 American troops in South Korea, which they could easily hit. And yet they never make that threat. They never say anything. A lot of the time they seem like they're just ignoring South Korea. So I suspect this is an attempt by them to try to separate, to develop some kind of a wedge between us and the South Koreans. Now, despite what the media says about President Moon, who's the newly elected president of South Korea, now the media over here loves to say he's a liberal. Well, a liberal over there is not quite the same thing as it is here. And he's actually been very reasonable. If you actually listen to what he says and the decisions he makes, he's actually very reasonable, and he's not blind. He understands the threat and he's willing to confront it. He's just stated numerous times that he wishes, or he hopes, that it will be settled by dialogue. But for some reason in the West, a lot of media outlets take that as some kind of appeasement. But you know, I really advise everybody to try to look. If you go on Orang News, maybe I'll put a link to it here on this video. It's South Korean news, but it's done in English, and they have a YouTube channel and all that, and you can actually watch it and see what he actually says. And I promise you it'll be a lot different than what you're hearing from the Western media. And we also have to remember, a lot of folks keep saying, you know, oh, it's never going to happen, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, and, you know, this and that. I mean, Saddam didn't think we were going to go either. Remember that? You know, right before the invasion, he didn't think we were actually going to pull the trigger on it, and we did. And you also have to consider how many people in this country would like to see Donald Trump embroiled in a war. Even if it goes off swimmingly, they're still going to have enough stuff to bash him with, and that's all they're interested in. They could care less about the millions or hundreds of thousands of dead. They don't give a damn about that. Their political aggrandizement is what matters. So, you know, it's And nothing today has led me to believe that this situation is going to resolve itself peacefully. So I really do hope I'm wrong, but right now I'm leaning on, it looks like without there being any kind of a big change in personality from Kim Jong-un, I think war is inevitable. I see no other way around it. And quite honestly, every day that we waste, they get stronger. So if we're going to go, I think we should do it sooner than later. And I hate to say that, you know, I do not want a war there, and I've mentioned to a lot of times on these videos, half my family lives there. I don't want them hurt, but we cannot allow this nutcase to have nuclear weapons and threaten the world every time he wants something. He could bitch and moan and threaten to launch a nuke. That can't happen. You know, we're dealing with a country that has the largest concentration camp in the world in it. I mean, this is not a nice, fuzzy, soft regime that we can deal with. These are a bunch of psychos with their quasi-weird, cultish version of communism. These aren't people we can reason with. Maybe if somebody removes Un and somebody else takes over who's got some semblance of a brain, maybe we could deal with them. But that's something that's going to have to be decided on amongst the high-level North Koreans themselves. But I kind of am of the opinion that all the people that would have acted against him are probably 6 feet underground. So you're not going to get a lot of pushback from him, I suspect, in his cabinet meetings or whatever the hell it is they do, or in his, whatever. However, he makes decisions. I don't think there's a lot of dialogue. So if you're dealing with one man who's unhinged and starting to believe his own propaganda, do you want to roll the dice on this clown not one day just waking up and deciding to nuke Tokyo or San Francisco? Or, you know, this isn't the Soviet Union where they actually had some common sense and really didn't want to see the world in flames. These nutcases seem to generally be unhinged, and I really fear for where this could lead us. But let me know what you think in the comments below. This has been Patrick Costas.